Yo, what's up, you? Tube! It's your boy AyksTV bringing you another video. This time we're gonna go TLDR Season 4 Survival Hunter. Just like, I guess a little, we'll talk about stat weights, talk about Covenant, we talk about and some gear and whatnot. As you can see, I already got KSM. I hit 1900 in the first week, and then I just needed a couple of keys to get to 2k. I still haven't got a low car time and a junkyard or Streets of Wonder. I haven't done Streets of Wonder on Fort, so I can get probably about like 200 more, get to 2500. But for me, IO this expansion, well, this season, I don't really care about it because I feel Season 4 is pretty much just a season for trialing different characters and seeing what you want to enjoy and into Dragonflight. So I just wanted to get KSM out of the way, and then focus on other things. Maybe even play Survival Hunter a lot more. I'm still enjoying the fuck out of Survival Hunter. It's still insanely good in Mythic Plus. And I just want to talk about, I guess, like I mentioned, there might be some new Survival Hunters out there. Maybe some Survival Hunters leaving because of NERFS. So we'll just quickly talk about everything and give you tips, tricks, and whatnot. Maybe get some gear, and hopefully you guys pump into Season 4. Maybe see you in Dragonflight as a Survival Hunter, because I know the Survival Hunter tree is looking goddamn pretty juicy right now. But appreciate you all being here. Thank you again. Hopefully this helps you out. And let's get onto the video. Alright, let's talk about stats. The stats are pretty much exactly the same as they have always been for Survival Hunter. Haste is your, no, sorry, not haste. Agility is your main prior stat. So you're gonna go for eye level first. More agility, more damage you're gonna do. It scales way better than anything else. And you're going into haste. So all your cooldowns come back quicker, your carve is reduced, your kill command is reduced. I think that's all pretty much it. Oh, and your wildfire bomb. And your wildfire bomb is a lot of damage as well. And then you go into haste equals versatility equals crit. So you can either go into more verse into higher keys. You do more damage, but you also take less damage, so you get to survive a lot more things. And crit, you just get a crit more, you'll see a lot of big numbers. So if you throw onto there, you just see all the little crit things a lot more than if you have a lower crit chance. So really up to you. Lower keys you can go into crit because they don't do that much damage, or you can go into verse and just survive a little bit longer. But generally, hey, versatility is a lot better. And then what we also want to talk about is, let me just bring this up for you all people. We want to talk about the Shrouded buff. So Season 4 affix is called Shrouded. So at the start of your dungeon, and we'll play the video as well. At the start of your dungeon, you talk to this person at the beginning, like Drapnos is doing. And if he does, he probably doesn't. And you gain a buff every time you kill a Nathrezim, what do you call it, a Dreadlord in the pack. So as you can see in this pool here, they're shrouded enemies. They turn into a Nathrezim, and every time you kill them, you gain a buff of what you've picked. So here, if you go critical strike, haste, you get 2% per stack. For versatility, it was 2%. They nerfed it to 1% per stack, and for mastery, it's a base 69 mastery per stack. So what you want to actually pick here is high keys, low keys, any type of key that you want. You want to be picking the haste buff, because at the end, depend on the route that you do and how the tank pulls, you get to about nearly 30% loss. Most of the time you get like 20-ish, like 20 to 27%, roughly around that percentage. That's a mini. So if I have my pen out, heroism is 30%, and you pop heroism, get to 74%. You have a mini lust for the whole time. And if you look at your cooldowns with the mini last, you have 10, it goes to 10 seconds. This goes to 3.4, and carve goes to 3.4. So haste is just going to help you do a lot more damage. You pretty much have a mini haste going for the whole dungeon once you get to that peak. So pick haste. Haste is always delicious. Alright, so for you new survival hunters out there, for Mythic Plus and for raiding, the legendary is your wildfire cluster. So when you throw your wildfire bomb or wildfire infusion, you throw it, it just throws a little bit of bombs around. It does a little bit of extra damage. They did nerf it, so after 8 targets it deals reduced damage, but you don't, it doesn't really matter too much. And then Unity. So wildfire can be placed on 2 slots. It can be on your belt or your legs. Sim your gear. And also it all depends on what gear you have. For me, it's on my belt because I have crit verse legs. The tier legs aren't really that good because it gives you, do I even have a pair? No, I don't. It gives you crit mastery, so you don't really care about that. Potentially, if you have a decent belt, you can swap these around and you can put wildfire cluster on your legs. Again, depends on all your gear, how it's all situated. Sim yourself. I'm not going to tell you what it is. And Unity can get put anywhere. Again, sim. I'm not going to tell you Unity needs to be here, Unity needs to be there, wildfire cluster needs to be on waist or legs. Sim yourself. It's the best way to do it. Yeah, it's just where your gear is, right? So that's the legendaries. Right. So the other thing I want to talk about is, unfortunately, Survival Hunter has been nerfed twice. And we'll go for a quick TLDR. So the tier bonus has been nerfed twice. So the first nerf was, so previously your wildfire bomb used to deal 30% increased additional damage, and the bonus was at 80%. The first nerf went from wildfire bomb deals 20%, and then empowered did 70%, but we were still doing a lot of damage. Now, in the latest iteration, is the bonus damage is increased to 50%. So it's been shaved from 80% to 50%, the 30% nerf. It is actually not bad as people think it is. Yes, a lot of people are going to cry about that. It's a lot of damage nerf, but it puts us in line with pretty much all other classes. So if I can get a reset here, if I can get into a red bomb, can I get a reset? Yeah. So if we get a reset here, your Mad Bombardier does 50% extra damage on top. So quite nerf, but you don't really notice it in like really big packs. You still burst, like say in Gambit, you're still bursting into like 150k if you're getting the right bomb procs. You're not going to go ridiculous in like 200-ish, but you're still doing a lot of damage. And then in 5+ targets, your damage is a little bit lower, but they've also buffed the damage to Serpent Sting, Kill Command, and Rapture Strike by 20%. So it sort of changes your priorities a little bit in AoE, because Serpent Sting does a little bit more. You want to be weaving in your Serpent Stings with your bombs and whatnot. With the damage to Kill Command, it is now decently good to start weaving in your Kill Commands. Usually you never used to, I never used to really weave Kill Commands in between, but now with the buff, it's good to start weaving in. And if you can see, if you get like bomb procs like that, you can keep going. So a little bit of a nerf. It is 100% warranted that we got nerfed, but Survival still one of the top specs in the game. Right. For Mythic Plus, it's still the same. Nothing has really changed in terms of Survival Hunter. You always should be wanting to be running a Mechanicos as a Kyrian. So the Kyrian ability is called Resonating Arrow. You shoot your arrow it's in a circle. While they're in there, they take 30% increased critical strike chance, but also with your enfeebled mark conduit, you deal 16% extra damage for the enemies inside it. So this is what resonating arrow looks like. You throw it, and all these targets take increased damage from you and also increased critical strike. So you want to run a Mechanicos. Reason why Mechanicos is there's two things. One is Hammer of Genesis. Every time you damage a new enemy, you gain 3% haste for 10 seconds up to 5 stacks. So that's 15% haste. 15% haste. I didn't have to do calculations because my maths is bad. 15% haste. If I don't think I've hit this target. You hit this target, and you gain 3% haste. You hit another target, it stacks 6%. You hit another target, 9%. So it goes up to 15. And the longer you keep hitting new targets, the longer the haste stays. And haste is godsend for Survival Hunter. The next one is effusive anima acceleration. So when you throw it, the target hit by your resonating arrow will take a little bit like of ticking damage of arcane damage. It's measly, doesn't do that much, but the biggest thing is it reduces every target you've hit, it reduces resonating arrow up to 20 seconds. So each enemy hit is 4 seconds. So one person is 4 seconds, 5 targets, 20 seconds, and then resonating arrow is already on a 1 minute cooldown, so you can potentially have it up every 40 seconds depending on your pool. And it's just free damage. It's free critical strike damage on your bombs. Get a crit a little bit more. So gain 30% increased critical strike in here and doing 16% more damage. So really you have a 63% chance to critical strike them in resonating arrow. And that's where all your damage is really coming through, and that's where Survival Hunter really shines. And then, as you can see, your conduits, your potency ones, enfeebled mark, which I just talked about, and also strength of the pack. Every time your kill command resets, you gain increased percent damage. For my one at 278, it's 9%. So if I can get a reset, there we go. Strength of the pack is increased. My damage increased by 9%. And then some good things for survivability is I like Enemy of the Tortolan. You get to use your aspect of the turtle a lot more. You can negate a lot of mechanics in Mythic Plus. Like I mentioned, the resilience of the Hunter. When you feign death, you gain damage reduction, flat damage reduction. Some fortified, some tyrannical weeks, a marksman advantage when you throw your hunter's mark on the target. If I do this, they deal percent damage lower to you, so you're just doing feign death. So you put your hunter's mark, they do 9% less. You feign death, you're doing 13%. So they're just doing a lot of damage less to you. And I also like to run Reversal of the Fortune. So every time you interrupt someone, you gain focus back. That means you can spend more. You can spend it on your carve. That's half a carve. Or you can spend it on a raptor strike. So this is probably the build that you always want to run. I know a lot of people potentially can take condensed Animosphere, but as a hunter and range, you're not really taking damage very consistently. But again, that can be swapped out with marksman advantage if you want. But as is conduit, you're still Kyrian. But you could also go Night Fae. Night Fae is okay, but Kyrian for high keys is 100% the way to go as well. I was going to talk about rotation, but my latest guide is still available, so I'm just going to drop the link down below in the comments in terms of rotation. Nothing really changes. The only other thing is you want to like Serpent Sting a lot more in AoE because of the buff to Serpent Sting, because they buffed it by 20%. So you really want to make sure that you do have your serpent sting up on as many targets as possible. Of course, when you have pulling 20 targets, you're not going to like serpent sting much, but try and keep as much as you can. Usually 5 targets, 4 or 5 targets. Keep your serpent sting running on all of them, but making sure that your 2 main abilities in carve and your wildfire bomb are on cooldown. But nothing really changes too much in terms of priority there. But if you can, serpent sting a lot more, because it does a lot more damage. It does a lot more damage, as you can see. Serpent sting does a lot of damage in AoE. So if you can, serpent sting. All right. So the last thing we're going to talk about is loot. So this season, in season 4, there are faded raids. So Castle Nathria, Sanctum Domination, and Sepulchre are the first ones. Each week on a daily rotation, they become faded, and their gear becomes better. So of course, the higher you go, the better it is. Mythic gives you 304, and the last few bosses, I think, give you 311, if I believe I'm correct. So if I click on Sylvanas, 311 gear. Yeah, so the last bosses in each raid give a little bit more gear. And if we go into here, there's a quest called Crossing Fate. After you've defeated 30 faded raid bosses, you get a puzzling cartel coin, and this you can purchase one item, one mythic fated item at the end. So there are a couple of and I think, if I remember, you can only pick one item per faded raid. So you can pick one item from Nathria, one item from Sanctum, and one item from Sepulchre. So it's again, it depends on your gear and what you want. Season 4, pick whatever you want. But if it was me and my own things, so out of is this a weapon? So there are 2 things. You can go with in Sepulchre, you can go with Mythic Sigil. It'll go to 311. People saying pick the jailer weapon because it's 311, but you can also go from Castle Nathria, and you can also pick the weapon from Side and Nathria, so that will go to 311 as well. The heraldry is really good from here if you pick up the weapon from jailer, or if we go into Sanctum of Domination, you're going to be picking potentially the back here, or there's in Sanctum Domination, there's not really that good faded gear. You can go Titanic Ocular Gland. I'd be picking trinkets or weapons, but the highest item levels come from the last bosses, so you want to always be picking that. You can potentially pick this neck. You can get some pieces and turn them into tier, or you can just get the upgrade for the bow and just play you know, just play ranged. But you can get the quiver back. Not much really good stuff from Sanctum. If you want, you can go get Jotunga. I might even pick Jotunga because I love Jotunga, just because of the weapon effect. But in here, you can pick Hateful Chain, Heraldry, or the weapon. And then when you go into Sepulchre, if you go down here, you can pick the weapon. I don't know how much Scars of the Infernal Strife is, because now it's like, apparently it's really strong, so that could be really good because you're gaining stats, like base stats everywhere. Or the other one is get Sigil Elegy. So if you pick up Sigil here, you can probably get Gland from Sanctum. So you can potentially pick up Ocular Gland here, Sigil, and then Jailer Weapon. A lot of different things. So have a look, see what you like. Again, season 4 is not a real season, but if you really want to min-max, those are probably the options. You definitely want Sigil regardless of the eye level. Sigil right now, even at 278, is better than all the trinkets that there are. If we look at gear wise from Grimrail, there's the trinket that gives you flat agility and versatility. You want to probably grab this from Mythic Plus. From Iron Docks, it has the two-handed haste verse staff, very good staff. Again, haste verse, very good. And then if we go into the Karazhan dungeons, not really much gear in terms of Survival Hunter. You don't like the proc damage is really good, but trinkets wise, where's that trinket? I think it's for ranged only. Is it this one? Apparently this does a lot of damage, so I really want to get my hands on this deteriorated construct core. Right, let's go all specs. There's no weapons in Legion because you had your artifact, so Karazhan doesn't really have that much good gear. And then if we go into Battle for Azeroth, the Operation Megagon, you have the crit, the staff from Gobamak, which is really good, and all your critical hits deal extra damage. So this would make your crit even scale a little bit better. The motorcycle is pretty fun to use, but other than that, there's the Mechagon rings. You probably want the haste one here, and then to go with the one you do 3, you can do damage behind them, or the 3 different spells on the same target. So those 2 with the haste, and then of course when we go into Shadowlands and we talk about Tazavesh, if you don't have a good weapon and you get this to drop, that's good, but you also all the good gear comes from the end. So you have your Salias, you have your collapsing stars, which you're still using, you have your haste versus neck over here, you have the weapon. So not bad gear from Gambit. And those are the fader raids. Hopefully this helps you out. Again, TLDR, still love my survival, but going to be playing a F-ton of other characters in Season 4. But I'll be doing a lot more survival. I love Survival Hunter. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we'll dab you in the future. And follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/AyksTV. Until then, peace.